Greetings everyone, this is A.M.O.P.S, and this is going to be the commentary on the video that I've been doing about defending the honor of black women. Restating the problem, this is the basic idea of what I'm trying to solve. And what I see is that for the last 500 years, there's been a steady stream of what I would call Western media attacks upon black women. And it's been a steady stream, and it's been a consistent stream, which is basically, if you will, caused black women to be viewed within a certain light. So what you see now is a list of some of the different solutions that I proposed in my last video concerning this topic. So I'm going to go into a lot more detail and give a commentary on each one of these different views and how I see them being deconstructed in order to deal with solving this problem. So getting down to the actual points themselves that I was proposing, when I started writing out some of these ideas I had about solutions concerning I guess you could say protecting the honor of black women, or basically defending the honor of black women. One of the basic things I had as a concept was that in order to fight, I guess you could say large media conglomerates who have millions, if not billions of dollars to throw at an issue, the only way you can deal with it is by going grassroots. So what that basically means is that, first of all, you can use social networking sites. There's Facebook, there's YouTube. There's a number of different options that people who are basically trying to look for a solution on how to fight these corporations in terms of image can use. I mean, you could basically buy digital cameras and start making I guess you could say movies, if you will, using basic editing software with the focus that these movies or these media would be something to give the correct image of black women. One of the next things, that came up was basically doing long-term boycotts. Now, what I mean by this is that normally when people boycott something, it's kind of like, in my mind, when I hear about these kind of boycotts, usually it's like a temporary boycott to get a certain solution or to get an action from the people that are being boycotted. Where my concept was by saying, a complete boycott is basically saying that you make it public what you're doing, and then from there, these people will never get your business ever again, and anyone associated with them will also get the same treatment. That way, they know that they'll never be able to get you, based upon the idea that once they start putting this image out there, these images, it's not like they're naive, it's not like they're stupid. They knew exactly what they were doing when they put these images out, so why protest them to get them supposedly make a change when they're basically out there to make money and to create their own image that furthers their money. Where I believe that if a medium was set up in place of it, and if it was instituted on a grassroots level, from there you could go and start boycotting these people and try to convince the people that you have the best contact with, being the black community, that these are the correct images, and then from there take this image out to the non-black community, which once again, if you have people who are willing to, I guess you could say, not entertain the wrong image, you can get enough people to entertain the right image. So I had an idea about basically publicizing what the incorrect images are in order so that people can see what the history of these images are and see who's perpetuating them. One of the reasons for this is when I was actually in high school, there was a class that I was attending where the specific goal of the class was to expose racial stereotypes. And one of the things that we did was we watched films that dealt with the issue of stereotypes, for example, of different races and different ethnic groups. And by seeing where these images came from, we were able to kind of get a bigger picture over what the real issues are. So it's like saying, when a person understands, as an example, the mammy image, and understand where it came from, how it got started, and how it's permeated so many areas of American society, for example, a person has a better idea of exactly what it is that they're actually going to be protesting against. So for example, when you look at Aunt Jemima's syrup, for example, at one point, I remember when I was a kid, the logo they had on there was of a woman who was basically a mammy image. And then eventually they changed it to make it into a woman with a perm. So it's basically, in my eyes, I mean, they knew the image that had been going around. They knew the sources of these images, but in order to protect their money, they're basically going to kind of try to make a little bit of a change to make it seem as if, oh, we're progressive, So, my thing is that by exposing these images for what they are, and exposing the history behind them, and exposing those who continue to perpetuate them even in modern society, this is an important step to convince people that they don't need to put their business or their money into these type of people anymore. So concerning the issue of working with children, this to me is like I guess you could say paramount way that I can see a solution coming from, basically defending the honor of black women by repairing or putting out there the correct image of black women. I'm a firm believer that most of the media in this area is basically delegated to trying to get children to become consumers in a certain way. So basically, what I propose is that the best way to get to these children, to get the proper image out there to society as a whole, societies as a whole, is to start working with kids. Get into the schools. You can get to them easier than the corporations can, simply because they have to turn on the TV or the internet to get to for the corporations to get to them. And one of the things I base this on is before my grandmother, Elnora Leons Ever died. I actually found out that she was like known to be a person who went out to her community and she taught women how to be ladies, how to raise children, and basically how to be respectable people. And I didn't know she had done this until again right around the time that she passed away, as well as when we buried her. There were women there who specifically talked about how she came to them and taught them how to be ladies, taught them how to raise children. And I kind of, I guess you could say, took this on also because when I was in college, I spent like 5 years tutoring kids, and also not just, I tutored them in math, but I also taught them about life, about proper image, about the proper way to go about doing things, how to get into college, basically passing on my experiences and the view of the world that I had to them so that they could have a better understanding of the realities that I was seeing, being a person in college at the time that they might not be able to see, as well as giving them the realities that I knew them based upon how I was trained as a child. So this is a big thing to me because if you can at least basically get one kid to come around to the right way of doing things, or the right way of thinking, you've done a lot. I mean, in Judaism we have a saying that if you can save one person, you've saved an entire universe. And I believe this wholeheartedly. So imagine if you had a classroom full of kids that you could get to, by basically getting out there and being active in their lives. So I think that this is a paramount issue in terms of changing the image, in terms of repairing the image. You have to be able to get to the kids and show them what the correct image is by way of media, by way of books, by way of just interaction. I figure that the most controversial part of what I basically said in the previous video is the idea of excommunicating people who I guess you could say are not down with the program. What I mean by this is simple. Let's say, for example, that you have an ad company that wants to put black women in a bad light, by using stereotypical images. In order to do that, unless they're going to do blackface, they're going to have to find someone black who's willing to go along with the program. Imagine what would happen if every black actress knew that if she took on an extremely stereotypical part, that she was going to be ostracized from every black community she ever would go to. Imagine if her livelihood or her community roots are in these black communities that basically make it known that anyone who's willing to cross that line will be excommunicated, will not be dealt with, will not be able to do business in the community. This is what I basically mean by excommunicating people who go against the program, if you will. And this is, once again, this is something that not everybody's willing to publicly say, but I believe it's something that will publicly have to happen if you're going to deal with stereotypes. If it's known amongst, like I say, actors who are a part of the black community or part of the black ethnic group, if you will, if there's such a thing, basically those people would have to know before going in that, okay, wait a minute, if I take this part, knowing that it's a stereotypical part, I'm going to be fought tooth and nail by people in my own community. I may be completely excommunicated from my community just based upon taking this part that is, a stereotypical or derogatory part. Let me not take this part, or someone may say, well, I'm willing to be excommunicated. Fine, they're out of there, they're done with the community. That is really the only solution I see to, the final solution when dealing with people who are willing to perpetuate a stereotype, who also happen to be black, which, having a black person in a stereotypical, commercial movie or whatever, kind of gives credence to the idea that maybe the stereotype's true. To where if they don't have a black person who's willing to even do it, they're going to have to, if they want to continue to do it, they're going to have to try to find someone else or find some other method which exposes their racism. So that is a very important point to me concerning this whole thing.